Hi, Andrea. It's Margie from Basmati. How are you?
Great. Hey, Margie. Terrific. Thank you. How are you doing?
Really, really, really awesome. Thank you.
Not too hot in the summer, huh?
You know, it's actually quite warm and a tad bit smoky, but I'm good. The air quality has been a little challenging here in California, but I'm actually dog sitting. I was going to say puppy sitting, but it's a really big Malamute. I think she weighs like 130 pounds. And so
my goodness.
I know she's just a big old bear full of love. So she's enjoying the indoor AC with me. So yeah, fun stuff, super fun stuff. She's a sweet, sweet baby. So for everyone listening, today we're talking with Andrea from awakenastrology.com, and we are going over the full moon lunar eclipse. I believe it's August 7th. Isn't that right, Andrea?
That's right, and it's at 11:10 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay. So tell us more.
Okay, all right. So a lunar eclipse can only occur at the time of a full moon. And it occurs because the Earth comes between the sun and the moon, and it blocks the sun's light from illuminating the moon. And so we want the moon to be illuminated during a full moon. And when it doesn't, that's when we have an eclipse. So on August 7th, we're going to be experiencing a partial eclipse. That means we won't be able to see it here in the United States, but it will be visible in Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. Lunar eclipses, as well as solar eclipses, and we'll be talking about the solar eclipse on the next one that we do. But for this lunar eclipse, all eclipses are considered to be significant events, and the energies can and what happens from these energies can last up to 6 months. That's a pretty long time. So we definitely want to pay attention to the energies and what's going on. So let's recap. You and I always do new moon readings, and a new moon is the start of a cycle. And after, the energies of that cycle build for 2 weeks until they reach their peak. And the full moon is a time when we're able to see and know and understand on a conscious level the significance of the energy. So they play out during the full moon. But during an eclipse, full illumination of the moon doesn't occur. And so it's like having a rug pulled out from under us, and it can be quite disorienting for people who are especially sensitive.
Okay.
Now on a spiritual level, it is an opportunity to make an evolutionary leap in understanding our lessons, our patterns, and our cycles. So it's super important time. Now, before I get into the general chart, I want to talk a little bit about how it affects us personally, like on a personal level.
Okay.
Eclipses bring up unexpected situations and heightened emotions. So oftentimes people will say, because judgment is impaired, you're having all these heightened emotions that come from these unexpected things. Don't rush to make important decisions unless you have to. And the house or houses in your own personal chart, which the eclipse falls in, are the areas of your life that will get the most attention.
Okay.
So for you, Margie,
so let's use me for example.
Right. So it's going to show up in your third house of siblings or communication, basically how you receive information and how you deliver information.
Okay.
So for you, it's going to be very much about communication. And we'll keep going. We'll investigate a little bit more. Also, if your sun, moon, and rising sign make an aspect to the eclipse, that will also be significant. When I look at your chart, I see that you've got a square going on and with your opposition. So you're going to feel like this push-pull between feeling very intense and secretive about how you feel, almost protective, and then at the same time, loving being sensual and earthy and being out in, in the natural world. So it's sort of like outdoors and earthy and natural versus, your inner,
like the wanting to hide or something, yeah.
Or being deep and secretive about how you really feel about things. And so let's just see. So anyway, any planet in your birth chart that comes within 5 degrees of the eclipse will also have an impact. Okay. So there's obvious reasons why we want to look at our chart personally, but for this conversation, we'll go forward with just the general chart and what's going on.
Okay, and you and I can expand on mine a little later, right?
Right, of course. So a full moon always occurs between opposing signs in a chart, and we call these opposing signs an axis. So on August 7th, the sun will be in the sign of Leo, while the moon is in the opposing sign of Aquarius. And in our last discussion, we talked about Leo, the lion, and Leo energy is creative and expressive. The sun in Leo represents being strong, courageous, warm, and loving. In other words, it's about living your purpose and being your authentic self. So on the flip side, we have moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the collective rather than the individual. And it's about what's good for everyone, our common goals, our shared mission or purpose for humanity. And so the moon in Aquarius triggers the need for us to be connected to our peers, our group. We may feel like we want to work with others to achieve a mutual goal. And we may feel deeply about being connected to what's best for the collective. I see the Leo-Aquarius axis about how do we go about being a truly healthy, productive society or a healthy human species, while also being able to safely be ourselves and express our opinions, even if they don't align with what's considered to be politically correct. So how do we balance these both? Because balance is always the key to health. Other aspects of this eclipse show us that the power structure does not want us to be powerful, authentic Leo individuals. Probably because you can't rule authentically empowered individuals, right?
Right. Yes.
And so, we see this playing out right now with just how we get indoctrinated with all kinds of, we are told what's politically correct or what we must think and believe. And for those individuals who may think differently, it's not always comfortable for them.
I can see that, and we can see that as we look at when we talk about power structures, like in our own government, right? At what's happening, whether that's locally or in big government. But when you were talking about the community and coming together, I think when we start there and we are authentic selves in even these small groups, right?
Right. That's when we're going to get the best results, when we don't lose the individual and just because who do these big governments think we are? Are we just little specks of dirt to them? Or are we going to roar our own authentic Leo power and let what we need and who we are be known?
Yeah.
So that each and every one of us can be represented.
And that we are supposed to be, it is supposed to be that way, correct?
Correct.
And maybe it's shifting back. That's what I feel. So I feel that happening, and we can see it. You know, you just turn on the news for a little bit, right? And we can see that happening. And we can see that locally. And I do say when we come together as a group, even if we all don't share the same common ideas, because how boring would that be, right?
Right.
There's a celebration, and there's something to celebrate when our differences. And as long as we can, you know, in any relationship or any community, there's open communication, open dialogue, compromise, and willingness to learn and grow on each other. And I can see that being able to be a part of this. Right.
Right. People just have to know that it's not one or the other.
Yeah.
It is both. It is both being able to be authentically yourself and knowing that we're all part, we want what's best for
the whole.
For the whole.
Yes.
The next little bit of a challenge that I see coming up here is that strong emotional beliefs and attachment to ideologies can keep us from being and finding our own authentic power. So just if you feel very, very strongly about something to the point where you're emotionally attached, you may want to ask yourself, how authentically empowered are you feeling with this?
Yes, like that deep work when you've gone inside and understood, is this really my belief? Or is this a belief that was programmed with me? And not that was intentional or harmful from someone, you know, your parenting or school. An example would be, and I grew up Catholic, right? Mm-hmm. That I have nothing, like there was a great beauty in teachings in that for me. But some of the programming they're not my belief systems, right? And so and I had to learn that, well, wait, that actually doesn't feel authentic to me. And that was something that I was taught at a very young age. And there's no judgment in that. It was a beautiful gift that were shared with me. But some of the beliefs were not that of my own. And they were programmed into me, for lack of a better word, right?
Right.
And so it is very important, especially in times like this, to really go inward and feel what's authentic to you and what's yours, right?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Like I said, these aren't impossible energies. These are energies that are meant to bring us more awareness. So if you do feel that you're strongly a belief about something, but it's not quite resonating, you owe it to yourself to investigate whether it's authentically your belief or whether something you just inherited or adopted or whatever.
Yeah.
Last thing on this eclipse is that it's so much about relationships and our connections to others. But what I see as a really strong aspect here is about it in our hearts. It's about us seeking to build trust and pursuing relationships based on truth. Even if, and this is the key, even if getting to the truth of the matter will expose dark, ugly truth. Meaning, if you're hiding something, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, get ready for it to come out into the open, especially if this is making a strong aspect in your chart. So I'm calling this particular eclipse the truth and nothing but the truth.
I love it. I'd like to touch back on that just a little bit, because I want to say that, you know, it can feel challenging to want to let that dark or shadow aspect out, but really it's actually really liberating, and there's a weight lifted off of you when that happens, you know? Right. And when there's an acceptance, it's not even a fighting it or resistance. It actually no longer becomes this thing for you, you know, and we can all relate to that when we've made amends about something or something where it's like, whew, I'm not carrying that around anymore, right?
Well, one is we had it in fear, in our energy field of fear, and the other one is now we've added it to wisdom and truth, which is what this is about exposing all aspects of ourselves, at least being honest about them. Yeah. And again, I'm a big one for journaling. or telling a friend, because when you can expose whatever it is that you think is dark and secretive and ugly, that's the best time to really embrace it. And you may be surprised that so many other people also think that this is dark and they want to keep it secret. We have secrets being exposed right now on the planet.
That's what I was just going to get into. I said that's on an individual level, but as we look around, we can see it happening on a global level. You know, a good example that you and I talked about was, you know, Monsanto and the GMOs and the link with the FDA, and how these things are all coming out. And that's just one thing that's happening on a global scale. We could spend the next 3 hours discussing multiple, right?
Right.
But again, there's an awareness now that came about from that, and giving people choice on what to do also, right? You know, so there's a gift in that exposure as well. You know, we may have first been taken back because felt like we've been lied to, or, you know, whatever however we want to describe that. But then it's also like, wow, now I know, and there's a beauty in the knowing, right?
Of course, because you can make a choice.
That's right. That's right. Anything else you want to add to this, Andrea?
I think that was a perfect wrap. Thank you so much, Margie.
So perfect. Andrea, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you soon. Again, Andrea with awakenastrology.com, and have a beautiful night, my friend.
You too, Margie. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.